May we meet again. For 7 seasons, those words echoed through a post-apocalyptic nightmare that refused to look away. The 100 didn't just kill its characters, it destroyed their souls, questioned their choices, and asked us to experience it without the comfort of heroes and villains. Today, we're counting down 20 facts about the series that proved audiences could handle the unforgivable. Welcome to the darkness. Let's begin. In 2013, Cass Morgan published a young adult novel called The 100. It was designed for the Twilight generation: romance, love triangles, teenagers discovering feelings in a dangerous world. Standard young adult fare. Then Jason Rothenberg got his hands on it. When the show premiered on the CW on March 19, 2014, the romance had been stripped away like flesh from bone. What remained was something else entirely. Rothenberg called it Lord of the Flies meets Battlestar Galactica. Critics called it shocking. Fans called it unforgettable. Gone were the young adult tropes. In their place, moral relativism, genocide, cannibalism, and the haunting question that would define the series: what makes someone good when survival demands the unthinkable? The 100 was never going to be Twilight in space. It was going to be something far more dangerous. Imagine Clarke Griffin played by a different actress. It's nearly impossible. But Eliza Taylor was far from the obvious choice. In America, she was virtually unknown, best recognized for her work on the Australian soap opera Neighbours. Dozens of actresses auditioned, including familiar faces from other CW shows, names the network knew could draw ratings. But Taylor brought something the others couldn't. She could portray idealism with the eyes of someone who would commit genocide. She could be a leader and a monster, sometimes in the same scene. She could pull the lever that would kill 381 people and make you understand why. The role required an actress who could embody contradiction. Taylor didn't just audition for Clarke Griffin. She became her. And the show would never let either of them forget what that meant. When the Grounders first spoke, it sounded like gibberish. Beautiful gibberish, but gibberish nonetheless. It wasn't. David J. Peterson, the linguist who created Dothraki and Valyrian for Game of Thrones, built Trigadus Lang from the ground up. This wasn't random sounds meant to evoke otherness. This was a complete language with hundreds of vocabulary words, consistent grammar, and a backstory. After 97 years of isolation, English evolved. You are became you gone play. Present tense collapsed. Consonants hardened, and somehow from the ruins of old language, something new emerged. May we meet again became the show's most iconic phrase. Maybe oso na hit choda op nodo time. A prayer, a promise, a goodbye that carried the weight of a world that had learned goodbyes are never temporary. Peterson didn't just create words, he created the sound of survival. The show, filmed in Vancouver's wilderness, real locations, real conditions. Science fiction loves its sound stages, controlled environments, green screens. Safety, the 100 said no. Beginning in summer 2013, production took over British Columbia's wilderness. Dense forests, abandoned industrial sites, provincial parks where civilization felt like a memory. This wasn't Hollywood magic. This was rain-soaked authenticity. Crews hauled equipment through mud. Actors climbed real cliffs. Fight scenes happened in actual rain, not sprinklers carefully positioned for dramatic effect. The Canadian cold wasn't simulated, it was endured. Unlike soundstage sci-fi shows where actors pretend to struggle, the 100's cast truly trudged through forests that didn't care about production schedules. They fought in storms that weren't computer-generated. They froze in temperatures that made every breath visible. The wilderness wasn't a backdrop. It was a character. Brutal, unforgiving, real. March 3rd, 2016. Episode 3 by 0713. Lexa and Clarke finally consummated their relationship, a rare moment of tenderness in a show that rarely offered such things. For LGBTQ fans, it felt like victory, representation, hope. Then a stray bullet ended everything. Lexa died in Clarke's arms moments after their love scene. The bury your gaze trope, where queer characters are killed for tragedy, revealed itself in real time. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was explosive. The hashtag LGBTQ fans deserve better became a rallying cry. GLAAD issued statements. The anger wasn't about a character dying in a show where everyone died, it was about pattern, about promising hope and delivering grief, again and again, specifically to queer audiences. The movement changed television. Showrunners began conversations about representation they'd never had before. The 100 sparked something larger than itself, industry-wide awareness that visibility without dignity is its own kind of violence. Lexa's death meant something, just not what the writers intended. The first season of The 100 averaged only 1.86 million viewers. For the CW, a network already struggling with ratings, this was disaster territory. Cancellation felt inevitable. Then someone looked at the streaming numbers. Netflix and Hulu revealed a different story. DVR recordings showed delayed viewing the traditional metrics missed. Younger demographics were watching, just not on broadcast television at scheduled times. The 100 wasn't failing. The measurement system was. In May 2014, the show was renewed. Not because it succeeded by old standards, but because it proved those standards no longer mattered. The streaming age had arrived and The 100 was its proof of concept. Traditional ratings couldn't capture what the show had become, a phenomenon living in the spaces between scheduled programming. It was the future of television. It just took everyone else a moment to realize it. Jason Rothenberg had a mission statement: there are no good guys. He meant it. Citing influences like Battlestar Galactica and The Wire, Rothenberg built a world where context mattered more than morality. The Sky People massacred villages. Grounders practiced brutal justice. Mount Weather tortured captives. Everyone had reasons. Everyone had blood on their hands. Clarke irradiated Mount Weather, 381 people including children. Octavia forced her people into cannibalism to survive. Bellamy participated in a genocide. These weren't villains making villain choices. These were protagonists making monstrous decisions because the alternative was extinction. The show never let anyone off the hook. It never said, but they had to. It said they chose to, and now they have to live with it. Every faction committed atrocities. Every character compromised their humanity. And the show asked, who are you when survival demands you become someone you'd never recognize? There are no good guys. Only people trying to live with what they've done. Reyes was written to die. A short-term love interest for Finn meant to create drama and then disappear. Simple, disposable. Lindsay Morgan had other plans. Her performance changed everything. Raven wasn't just fierce, she was intelligent, vulnerable, broken, and unbreakable all at once. Morgan made the writers fall in love with a character they'd planned to kill. More importantly, she made the audience fall in love. So Raven lived, and she evolved. She became chief engineer, problem solver, the person who fixed impossible things with limited resources and unlimited determination. She became the show's moral conscience, the one who asked, should we, when everyone else asked, can we? For 7 seasons, Reyes survived. Not because the writers planned it, because Lindsay Morgan made them unable to imagine the show without her. Sometimes an actor doesn't just play a character, they save them. Mount Weather isn't fiction, it's real. The Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center exists in Virginia, carved into the Blue Ridge Mountains during the Cold War. It was designed to house federal officials during nuclear war, power plants, reservoirs, living quarters. A city underground, waiting for the apocalypse. The 100 took this reality and twisted it into a nightmare. The show's Mount Weather became a vampiric society, a place where civilization survived by harvesting the bone marrow of Sky People. They needed radiation immunity, and they'd torture children to get it. They were organized, cultured, civilized, and they were monsters. The genius was the inversion. The grounders were brutal but honest. Mount Weather was refined and horrifying. Civilization didn't guarantee humanity. Sometimes it just meant finding cleaner ways to commit atrocities. The real Mount Weather was built to save people. The fictional one revealed what salvation can cost. The 100's combat didn't look like television. It looked ugly, exhausting, desperate. That was intentional. Production hired military advisors and historical combat experts. Marie Avgeropoulos trained extensively in staff and sword combat. Bob Morley worked with tactical firearms instructors. Eliza Taylor learned knife fighting that emphasized lethality over choreography. Stunt coordinator John Stead had one rule: combat should look like real violence, not dance, not performance. Violence. Real fights are messy. People get tired. Movements become sloppy. Fear shows. The 100's fight scenes captured this: the exhaustion, the terror, the moment when training fails and survival instinct takes over. The actors weren't just learning choreography. They were learning what it feels like to fight for your life, even when cameras were rolling. And that authenticity, that visceral exhaustion, became part of the show's DNA. The 100's combat isn't about actors performing. It's about people who understand what violence actually costs. Number 10. Octavia's descent into Blodreishna nearly broke Marie Avgeropoulos. Season 5 transformed Octavia Blake into Blodreishna. Rena the Red Queen, a tyrant, a monster who forced her people into cannibalism and ruled through terror. Marie Avgeropoulos didn't just play the role, she inhabited it. To become Blodreishna, Avgeropoulos worked with psychologists. She lost weight. She isolated herself from castmates, staying in character between takes. She dove into the psychology of authoritarian madness and let it consume her, and it nearly destroyed her. Avgeropoulos later admitted the role affected her mental health. The lines between performance and reality blurred. Octavia's descent into tyranny required Marie to access places most actors avoid. She had to become someone capable of monstrous choices, and carrying that darkness took its toll. The performance was devastating because it was real. Not the cannibalism or the gladiator pit, but the slow erosion of humanity, the way power corrupts, the moment when good intentions curdle into atrocity. Avgeropoulos gave everything to Blodreishna, almost too much. The Red Queen demanded a price, and Marie paid it. The flame wasn't just sci-fi gadgetry, it was philosophy. The AI chip drew from real transhumanist theory, the belief that technology can transcend human limitations. Futurists like Ray Kurzweil and Nick Bostrom explore whether consciousness can exist without biology, whether memory defines identity, whether we can upload ourselves and live forever. Ailey, the artificial life intelligence entity, embodied these questions. She removed pain because she couldn't understand it. She offered salvation through erasing choice. She was transhumanism's promise turned nightmare. The flame carried the consciousness of commanders, preserving their wisdom and memories. But at what cost? Were they truly alive or just echoes? When does preservation become prison? In Season 7, Clarke destroyed the flame. She rejected transhumanist salvation. The show's answer was clear. Technology can't save humanity. Consciousness without consequence isn't transcendence. It's oblivion. The flame asked what we want to believe about eternity. The 100 answered that some things should end. The CW saved the 100 from cancellation. Netflix made it immortal. Distributed in over 190 countries, releasing seasons shortly after U.S. finales, The 100 became a global phenomenon. International viewership in Brazil, Germany, France, and Australia often exceeded American numbers. What struggled domestically became a worldwide event. By Season 3, The 100 was one of Netflix's most-watched acquired series globally. Audiences in countries that had never heard of the CW were binge-watching Clarke's descent into darkness. Language barriers didn't matter. Moral complexity translated. Netflix didn't just save the show from cancellation. It proved that dark, uncompromising television could find its audience anywhere. The 100 became evidence that international streaming could rescue shows traditional networks abandoned. The CW made The 100, but Netflix made it matter. Number 7. The show killed off 2,658 characters across 7 seasons. Fan databases, cross-referenced with scripts, counted every death across 7 seasons. The number, 2,658. This includes the culling on the Ark, 320 people volunteering to die for oxygen, Mount Weather, 381 people irradiated in moments. Prem Faya, billions implied dead in the second nuclear apocalypse. Main characters died constantly. Wells Jaha in Episode 3, Finn Collins in Season 2, Lincoln in Season 3. No one had plot armor. Survival didn't care about character arcs or narrative importance. The body count wasn't gratuitous, it was honest. The 100 operated on post-apocalyptic logic. Most people die. Heroism doesn't guarantee survival. Love doesn't protect you. Plot relevance doesn't matter when a bullet finds flesh. 2,658 deaths. Each one a reminder that this world doesn't care about fairness. It only cares about who's left standing when the smoke clears, and sometimes no one is. In 2013, Isaiah Washington was cast as Thelonious Jaha. 6 years earlier, he had been fired from Grey's Anatomy for using a homophobic slur. The controversy had not faded. Jason Rothenberg cast him anyway. Rothenberg stated he believed in second chances. Washington had done the work to grow, to learn, to become better. The 100, a show about people trying to survive their worst choices, became a second chance for an actor trying to survive his. Washington's performance rewarded that faith. Jaha evolved from a delusional leader searching for the city of light to a redemptive mentor guiding the next generation. He became one of the show's most complex portrayals, a man who had made terrible decisions trying to make better ones. The casting remained controversial. Some fans never forgave it. But the 100 was always about whether people can transcend their worst moments. Washington's presence asked that question in real life, not just fiction. Second chances are not about forgetting. They are about whether change is possible. Washington's Jaha suggested maybe it is. Number 5. The series finale was filmed during a global pandemic. Season 7 filming began in August 2019. By March 2020, the world shut down. Only the finale remained. Production halted. The cast went home. No one knew if they would return. No one knew how the story would end or if it would end at all. In August 2020, filming resumed under strict protocols. Daily testing, quarantine bubbles, limited crew. The finale, the culmination of 7 seasons, was shot in isolation. They wrapped on September 11, 2020, nearly a year after filming began. The cast couldn't celebrate together. No wrap party, no communal goodbye, just isolation, mirroring the show's final message about Clarke's solitude. The pandemic didn't just delay the finale, it shaped it. The loneliness, the separation, the sense of ending without closure, it all became part of the final episodes. The 100 ended the way it had to, isolated, uncertain, and deeply human. Season 2 finale. Clarke pulls the lever. 381 people die. Adults, children, guards, and innocents. Everyone inside Mount Weather irradiated in moments. Their screams echo through 5 more seasons. The 100 could have forgiven her, could have said she had no choice, that it was them or her people, that war demands sacrifice. It didn't. For 5 more seasons, the choice haunts Clarke. The Grounders call her Wanheda, Commander of Death. She carries the weight of 381 corpses into every decision. The show never lets her forget, never offers redemption, never says it's okay. In the series finale, humanity transcends, evolves into higher consciousness. Everyone except Clarke. She's judged unworthy, not because she pulled the lever, because she never found a way to live with it that didn't require pulling another lever, and another, and another. Clarke Griffin commits genocide in Season 2. The show spends 5 seasons proving that survival isn't the same as forgiveness, and transcendence isn't for those who can't transcend themselves. The original pitch for the 100 featured mutants, radiation-mutated humans with physical deformities and superhuman abilities. The post-apocalypse imagined through comic book logic. Network executives pushed back. The show pivoted. Instead of mutants, the Grounders became culturally evolved survivors. Their immunity came from natural selection, not superpowers. They adapted through society, not mutation. Trigoda's Ling replaced tentacles. Ritual scarification replaced glowing eyes. The change saved the show. Mutants would have been campy, unbelievable. Grounders were terrifying because they were possible. They were what humanity could become when stripped of technology and forced to rebuild from memory and instinct. The rejection of mutation kept the 100 grounded in plausible sci-fi. The Grounders weren't monsters. They were survivors who'd evolved different rules, and that made them far more dangerous than any mutant could be. Sometimes the best creative decisions are the ones you're forced to make. Number 2. Bellamy's Season 7 arc broke Bob Morley's heart. Bellamy Blake was a co-lead. From Episode 1, his arc defined the 100, from selfish survivor to selfless leader. His relationship with Clarke anchored the series. Season 7 destroyed all of it. Bellamy returns as a disciple convert, betraying Clarke and his friends. Then, in Episode 13, Clarke kills him. Not in battle, not sacrificing himself, shot in a hallway unceremoniously with an off-screen funeral. Bob Morley had taken mental health breaks during filming, limiting his availability. The writers adapted. But adaptation felt like abandonment. A co-lead and fan favorite reduced to a plot device, killed without ceremony, mourned without screen time. Fans were devastated. Morley himself seemed heartbroken. The 100 was always brutal with its characters, but Bellamy's death felt different. Not tragic, just hollow. The show that never pulled punches pulled one that landed wrong. 7 seasons of development erased in a hallway. Sometimes even the 100 forgot its own rules about making deaths matter. The 100's legacy is its refusal to comfort. September 30th, 2020. After 100 episodes, the 100 ended. The finale left Clarke isolated on Earth with only her adopted daughter. Humanity transcended. She didn't. Her choices, necessary, monstrous, unforgivable, disqualified her from evolution. She survived everything and lost everything. The show could have offered redemption. It chose isolation instead. This was the 100's legacy, its refusal to comfort. It influenced shows like The Expanse, Snowpiercer, and Squid Game, series that embraced moral complexity and rejected easy answers. It proved audiences could handle darkness, could sit with ambiguity, could follow protagonists who commit atrocities and still care what happens to them. The 100 never apologized for being difficult. It never softened its edges or offered hope it couldn't justify. It respected viewers enough to hurt them, to ask hard questions, to refuse simple answers. Clarke Griffin survived the apocalypse twice. She committed genocide. She saved her people. She died alone, immortal in the worst way, living with her choices while everyone else transcended beyond them. The 100 didn't end happily. It ended honestly. And that honesty, brutal, uncompromising, uncomfortable, is why it mattered. May we meet again in the darkness, where the 100 lives forever. Thanks for listening. If this reminded you why the 100 was unlike anything else on television, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into the shows that refuse to play it safe. And remember, there are no good guys. Only survivors trying to live with what they've done. Until next time.